So about a week ago, there was a huge Nintendo Switch 2 leak saying a ton of different things, and it came from a very weird place. It came from a third-party manufacturer called Mobapad. They make these Joy-Cons right here. These are great Joy-Cons, but they had a lot of information about what the new Joy-Cons were gonna be like. They said they're gonna be a little bit bigger, they're gonna have some other things, one of which was magnetic attachment to the side of the Switch 2. There have been a lot of people on the internet talking about how this is a terrible idea, it's not gonna work, the magnets won't be strong enough, they'll pop off. We did a big deep dive on all this stuff on the podcast the other night. I went into great detail about what kind of magnets these are and why they will work, and I'm gonna explain all of that right now. What's up, guys? Welcome back, or welcome in for the first time. Do me a favor. If you're new here, jump down in the description of this video. There's a link over there to our podcast channel. We do a podcast over there every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern. If you miss it live there, you can check it out on any of the podcast platforms of your choice. When you're on your way back up, make sure you subscribe to this channel. A lot of people think they are. They're not. We got a lot of cool stuff coming up, including videos on these things, and I actually have more of these things, so we're going to be giving some of these away. So make sure you get subscribed. That stuff's going to be coming next week, maybe the week after, maybe both of these next week. I don't know yet, but let's get into this magnet stuff. Now, I'm not going to go over all these leaks in detail. There are plenty of videos out there, and we have a podcast, which I will link at the end, as I just said, that we did this week, that goes over every single detail of all this. So if you want to check that out again, that'll be at the end of the video if you want to know more about the rest of the stuff. We're talking about just the magnets, how these Joy-Cons are gonna attach to the Switch in this video. So the wording they used in their blog post or whatever they had up there was that the Switch 2 is going to use electromagnetic suction to attach the Joy-Cons to the new Switch 2. Now, again, lots of people out here on the internet are saying, oh, magnets aren't gonna work, they're not gonna be strong enough. They're saying, oh, it would have to be a really, really strong magnet, and it would, but they're missing some things. We're gonna get into that. There's been some other talk about maybe it disrupting some of the electronics inside. I can tell you this, I'm fairly certain that Nintendo has thought of this, that their R&D department has probably tested this. I wouldn't worry about these magnets messing with anything on the inside too bad. There's something very simple you can do when it comes to magnets and electronics. It's called shielding. That's what they used to do in the old CRT TVs when they had speakers in them. Those speakers have big magnets on the back. That's how they work. But they put shielding on the back so it doesn't mess with the screen. So this stuff is avoidable. None of this is going to be a problem with an LCD screen or an OLED screen anyway. Some of the internals, maybe, but we're not talking about crazy strong magnets here. And that's another thing we have to go over. A lot of people are saying, oh, these things are gonna be like refrigerator magnets, or, you know, just any magnet you'd see in science class or something like that, whatever, at a hardware store to help you pick up a bolt you dropped, you know, down in an engine when you're working on it. That's not what we're talking about here. We are talking about electromagnets. This is a magnet that's actually able to be turned on and off. It's powered by electricity. It's not just an always-on magnet. I'm not gonna go into crazy detail about how it works, but I'll give you a general example. Let's say you have a bolt, okay? And you take a piece of copper wire and you wrap that copper wire around that bolt 10 times. And then you hook that wire up to a battery. That bolt is now gonna have magnetic properties. Now, let's say you take that same wire and wrap it around 10 more times. The magnetic properties of that bolt are going to get stronger. You wrap it around 10 more times, same thing's gonna happen. So you can actually make an electromagnetic more powerful basically by doing more coil wraps, which you can do it in other ways, and we'll touch on that here in a minute. But that's essentially how these things work. That's a middle school science project right there. Very basic stuff. This stuff's been around for a long time. It's in MRI machines. That's exactly how those work, is electromagnetic fields pass through your body so they can basically take images of what's inside. A brushless motor in a drill, that's an electric motor that runs off of magnets. It's the same thing. It's copper coil wrapped up, they force against each other. That's what makes it spin. That's how these things work. Again, been around for a long time. Another thing that's been around for a long time, it doesn't have to necessarily be a coil. Inside of hard drives, they actually have electromagnets that are flat films. Now something like that's probably not gonna be powerful enough to hold a Joy-Con on the side, but if you took that principle and maybe made something bigger, again, with more of that on the inside, that would be a nice little flat square to put on the side of a switch that you could turn on and off to connect a Joy-Con to. And there's another small thing, and this is how I think they're gonna do this. There's another thing they put in these leaks. They said that the SL and SR buttons, which are right here if you don't know, they're these buttons right here. So if you're using your Joy-Con like this, these are gonna be your like L and R buttons, but there's no rail. So they said these buttons are now metal. So my guess is without this rail, those buttons are actually sticking up a whole lot more. And I would imagine the holes that these go in on the side of the switch, that's probably where those two electromagnets are gonna be, and that's how we're gonna get connection. It's gonna connect straight to the buttons, and that would be why, if these leaks are true, that's why mobapad needed to know that spec about the switch, because they need to know to make these metal so they can attach. That's how they're going to attach. If they're making, you know, accessories that have to attach, they're gonna need to know how to do that. And honestly, I think that's probably how they're gonna end up putting these things on the side. It makes a lot of sense. Now we gotta address the other thing, and this is the biggest thing that I hear a lot of people talking about, really worried about. These things aren't gonna be strong enough. They're gonna fall off. I wanna give you some examples of some electromagnets just already in use right now. All right, if you've ever seen, even on TV, a scrapyard, if you've seen the Brave Little Toaster, you know what I'm talking about.
Whoa, not in the face, pal.
In scrapyards, they have these giant cranes that come around, and they've got big magnets on them. That's an electromagnet. Those things pick up cars. They can literally pick up cars with a magnet and move them around with a crane as they need. They are very, very, very strong. Here's another example. You ever been to Disney World? You ever been on the monorail? You know how that works? Electromagnets. They force against each other and it propels the train down the track. That's how it works. That's how a lot of those types of trains work. It moves an entire train of people with magnets. Now you gotta remember, these magnets are gonna be powered by the switch, so they're gonna be able to put as much magnetic force into these things as they want to put in it, as much as they need. I'm sure they've tested it. I'm sure they know what they're doing with this. They would not give us something that's just gonna fall off all the time. Well, they did give us the Joy-Cons. They gave us the Joy-Cons. Okay, I don't think it's gonna be that bad. I think it's gonna be fine. I think this is actually gonna be a way better solution than what the Joy-Cons are now with the rail, because with the rail system now, not only do they pop off a lot of people are having that problem because the little button thing will wear out, but they wiggle. This will take care of both of those problems. None of that will be an issue again. So again, I'm not an expert on electromagnetics, but I did some research before the podcast. This is the stuff that I've found. Some of it I may be wrong about. Some of it, you may have more to add to this. If you do, put it in the comments below. And if this video has been helpful for you and you think there's somebody else out there who needs to know about electromagnets, share this video with them. Make sure you subscribe so you can possibly win one of these controllers we're gonna be reviewing here in the next week or so. And that's gonna do it for this one, guys. As always, thank you so much for watching this video. Please leave a like. Make sure you are subscribed. See you in the next one.